بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I welcome all of you, wherever you are, and welcome you again with the fifth lecture and the last one in the explanation of Surah Al-Momtahina. We start with Allah Azza wa Jal saying, after seeking his refuge from Shaitan Rajim, O Prophet of Allah, if the woman believer came to you trying to give you covenant that they will not have association partner with Allah, they will not steal, they will not commit adultery, and they will not kill their kids, and they do not come with an accusation that they do between their hands and their legs, and they do not disobey you in goodness, then give them the bay'ah, the covenant, and ask Allah forgiveness for them. Allah is most forgiven and graceful. This, O Prophet of Allah, was repeated 13 times in Surah Al-Anfal. O Prophet, Allah is sufficient for you, and end with Allah saying in Surah Tahrim, O Prophet of Allah, struggle with the disbelievers and the hypocrites and be tough on them. And the Prophet ﷺ was not called by his name at all. He was called with the prophethood or the message as an honor and dignity for him. Where all the prophets, they were called with their names. O Ibrahim, O Musa, Nuh, and so on and so forth. This ayah, our mother Aisha says that he alayhi salatu used to examine those women with this ayah. Remember, my dear brothers, that the one before this, O Prophet of Allah, if the believer came to you migrated, then test them. They're tested with to give the covenant to Allah and His Messenger. So whomever admitted that condition with the believers, he alayhi salatu wasalam will say to her, I have given you the covenant by talk. He don't shake his hands. He will say it as word, and our mother Aisha says, by Allah, his hand never touch another woman in giving the covenant ever. He will say, I gave you the covenant on that. The hadith of Umayma bint Ruqayqa, she said, I came to the Prophet, to the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam, with other women to give him the bay'ah, the covenant, and he took the Quran that we do not put part with Allah to the end of the ayah. He said, what you can and you are able to. They said, Allah and His Messenger are more merciful than we are on. And then they asked him if he could shake hands with them. He said, I don't. What I say to one woman is like talking to 100. So we talk about that shaking hands. There is a decision about shaking hands with a woman. Originally, you need to avoid the shaking hands between the two sexes, that they don't have a marriage relationship or brotherhood or like very close relationship, that they are mahram, because of the forbidden from that. Since that was from the tools to stop what could lead to something else, then it is allowed when there is a need. Like if you leave this shaking hand, there is a harm, like to stop in the sake of Allah, or to leave one of the rights of others, or to cause a calamity or a problem. So you do your best to avoid it, like to shake, to indicate with the head, or sort of that. But I mean, for the people who are elderly, they have more ease than the others. So Atiyah says about what Bukhari mentioned in his book. We gave the bay'ah to the Prophet ﷺ and he recited, do not put partner with Allah. And then he told us to not to niyaha. So a woman took her hand. So somebody told me that somebody died and she made me happy. So he also said nothing to her. And then she came back and then he gave her, meaning that she had a death in the family that she had to go and attend, and then she came back. So he alayhi salatu wasalam did the same thing in the day of Eid. In the hadith of Ibn Abbas, I witnessed the prayer with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman, and they all prayed before the khutbah, and then they make the khutbah. Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came down, as if I'm looking at him when people are sit in front of him, and then he went to the woman, and then he said, and then he will recite the ayah. Then he said, are you on that? So one woman said, yes, Messenger of Allah. Then he told them to give charity. Then he put his garment, then they start putting their jewelry and stuff like that. This is the Shar' way, even for the non-migrant. So when Mecca was reopened and a lot of the women embraced Islam, the Prophet ﷺ took this bay'ah and this covenant from those who gave him the bay'ah in Mecca. Hind, the daughter of Utbah, the wife of Abu Sufyan. So he alayhi salatu wasalam, he recited. It is very clear. He did not accept from the men not to be partnered with Allah. The same thing he's asking the woman. And they do not steal. So he said, by Allah, I take some Abu Sufyan, he's got. Sometimes I take some of his money and he's not aware. I don't know. Is it permissible for me or not? So Abu Sufyan said, what you have touched before, Anna, it is for you halal, permissible. So the Prophet ﷺ smiled and laughed, and he knew. She's the one that she did what she did with Hamza. Those of Fatma, she said yes. She said, please forgive what I before, may Allah forgive you. So he walked. And he said, you don't commit adultery. And she said, does the free one commit adultery? Because it's new that only slaves get adultery. And not to kill kids, we're not gonna do that. You mean, talking about her Hanzala, he was killed at the day of Hanzala. So Umar knocked until he felt the Prophet ﷺ smiled. And they don't come with a lie between their hands and legs, and they do not. And then this bay'ah became general for all the migrants and other non-migrants, for men and women. In the hadith of Ubadah ibn Samit, he said the Prophet ﷺ told us, and we are sitting down, would you give me that you don't have partners with and you don't steal, not kill your kids, and don't bring a lie that is something that your hands or legs brought, and whomever did his reward from Allah, and whomever had one of these, he was punished in this life, then it is a kafara for him. And whomever got some, so they give him the bay'ah. And the men, he used to put his hand with the hands of those who give him the bay'ah, and Allah's hand on top of it. So this killing the child after his existence, like the people of Jahiliyyah used to do, their kids fear of poverty. Allah said in Surah Al-An'am, do not kill your kids out of fear of poverty. We going to give you sustenance and them. In another ayah, do not kill your kids out of fear of poverty. We will give you sustenance and you and them. And also this covered the killing of the young while still in his mother's womb. I'll give you the decision of the Fatwa Committee in Saudi Arabia. It says you cannot have an abortion except for a reason and within limited right or window. If it is in the first part, which is 40 days, and there is a preventing harm or interest, but after but take it out because you're afraid of raising the kids or not be able to pay for their living affairs or for the future, or it's enough of the kids, either one. That's not, so you cannot have an abortion. Doesn't what form it got from for the first 40 days or the second, until a group of experts will say that it's fearful for the mother's health that she might die if that continued. If it is in that condition, then you can. After the third part, after 4 months, you cannot have abortion until like a whole bunch of experts that could decide that the mother's life depends on having the abortion. And that's after taking every corner up. And that you could avoid the worst of problems, and you come in with something more. How about their any woman that brought on people was not them, she has nothing with Allah, and Allah will not enter her paradise. And any man, and he left his son and he's looking at him, Allah will expose him on the front of people. And Allah will not enter a paradise. And anyone he put his son down and he's looking at it, Allah will humiliate him. But there is a weakness in this hadith. And they do not disobey you in goodness. The Prophet ﷺ did not order except that is good. But this too will be a general rule for those who come after him from leaders. There's no absolute obedience. And he alayhi salatu wasalam does not order except that is good. And he is the one that does not speak on arrogantly. So every person who have control of something, he he is into the obedience of Allah. There is no obedience to any creations in the disobedience of the Creator. And it was said, what is meant with this bay'ah, the stress on two things: that is disbelief, which is to accuse somebody in their relationship, and the crying on the deceased, and it's the extreme crying on the deceased. There is the hadith of Mus'ab ibn Nuh al-Ansari. I found an old woman. It is among those who gave the bay'ah to the Prophet. So an old woman, she said, some people used to make me happy on some calamities they had. And they had the calamity, and I want to make them happy. He said, go and reward them. Then she came back and gave her the bay'ah. What is meant here that the which is the overstatement of crying, is something that we are forbidden to scratch a face or the back or the head. We do not. The hadith of Ibn Mas'ud, and it says in the two books. So there's not among us the person who had the Prophet ﷺ freed himself from the three types. And one time with Musa, he was he passed out from sickness, and he was laying down on his wife. And when he got up, he said, I'm free from anything that the ﷺ was free from. The Prophet ﷺ asked Allah to from three: the one that take her eyebrows when there is calamity, and the other one she tears her clothes, and the third one is the one who cuts herself. This bay'ah that the Prophet ﷺ used to take from everybody, and the bay'ah to Muslims in general, is from the thing that and the one who died didn't have a bay'ah. He died on ignorance. But what is meant of the bay'ah is the one for the Imam, that people are gathered on. This bay'ah is for the great one, that is only for the Imam, that people are gathered on. Whoever died and doesn't have a bay'ah, meaning give covenant, give an alliance, whoever called it himself, he made it wrong. What is meant in these, the one that is for the general Imam, that people gather. And because the hadith that came mentioning the bay'ah, either restricted with the authority or general, and you have to take it of this restricted. The Imam Ahmad was saying, the one who did not have an Imam, what does it mean that he died on Jahiliyyah? They said, do you know who the Imam? The people gather on. This is our Imam. Like the kind of covenant, you cannot have several. If there is two, there will be khulafa. And then they said, what do you order us? He said, take the first one and the first one. That's why Abdullah ibn Umar refused to give bay'ah at the time of fitna until people gathered. And he's the one who said the hadith, who that didn't have bay'ah, died on Jahiliyyah. Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar said that he refused to give the bay'ah to Ali or Muawiyah, then he gave to Muawiyah when they made good with Al-Hasan. And Ibn Zubayr died, and it was settled for Abd al-Malik ibn Marwan, then he gave him the covenant. It is say, I hate to before people gather. So we go after that to the ayah, and the last one in this surah, all who believe. Don't take allies that Allah has anger on them. They have give up from the hereafter. Allah conclude with started with all who believe, do not take my enemies as allies, and then conclude also all who you believe, and Allah is talking about the people that He's angry about, because they have given up on the people of the graves who came from the hereafter in the rule of Allah Azza wa Jal. They don't have no share at the day of judgment if they died on disbelief in Allah. Allah does not accept that be partnered with. Allah said, do not take people that Allah is angry about them. They have given up on the hereafter. They died on disbelief. And whomever disbelieves in faith, then his work is voided. Just like the disbelievers give up on the people of the graves, that they will come back to them because they don't believe in resurrection, or they have given up on the people of the graves, that they will have a share in the hereafter. And when the disbelievers saw the fire, and they thought they're going to see it and did not find a way out. With this we conclude this surah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.